All right, guys, July is winding down. We need to talk about August. The technicals that I have in this video are like, holy crap, technicals, like give you heart palpitations kind of technicals. I'm serious about this. I am Dr. Stock, Doctor of Education. And listen, if you're going to play games on your cell phone while you're going to the bathroom, don't play blackjack because you might just have to stand. All right, so listen, I was looking through the indices, the S&P, the Nasdaq 100, and also the Russell 2000 stocks. And I'll tell you what, like, there's some things that like I'm still struggling to actually breathe completely. Like, to have to tell myself to take that deep breath in and like slowly let that breath out, especially before I come out and talk about this kind of stuff publicly. So I'll put the charts up here. I'll give my take on it. And then we're also going to take like a 5 mile view, 5 mile high in the sky view at this thing to really zoom out and see what exactly it is that we could be dealing with. So I don't mean to, I definitely don't want to downplay this. And I also don't want to do something where it inspires like mega all of a sudden panic. But I do think that we should absolutely be prepared for what could come our way. So let me put this up here for you. We'll take a look at the S&P. Look what happened today. Talk about what could happen tomorrow. And like I said, really looking at what could happen throughout August, maybe even September. Like we could really be setting up for something big and you need to be ready for it. And I want to tell you as much as I can about it from what I can see in the charts and knowing where we find ourselves in this market. So today we got a full candle close under the 50 days on the SPY, which tracks the S&P 500. That signals that could potentially have a further sell tomorrow, especially with this high wick that we have here. We got the bounce that I expected to have happen today. And so that was awfully nice to see that. My short positions cost me a little bit, but I'll tell you what, the technical analysis, I just want to share this with you real quick. The technical analysis, I will show you the NVIDIA chart on this thing, 97% gain on the options play that I put out today, opened today, closed it today, and I was in the whole trade for a whole whopping 43 minutes. And if you guys want to see those buys and sells, I do share them over at the Discord available through my Patreon. That link is down in the description. But back to the indices here, S&P 500. So like just kind of not a really good look right now. The RSI dropping and it's also down below 50. Now, what about tomorrow? Well, tomorrow is Friday, and that's an important thing because if there is heavy shorting throughout this week, that could be something that people close out those short positions tomorrow. And instead of seeing a further drop, instead we see a little bit of buying and maybe giving people a little bit of perhaps false hope. We'll have to see. Remember, next week, actually tomorrow's a big day. With the PCE report coming out, we need to see what's going on there, and we need to see what inflation numbers we get. They're expected to be soft. Hopefully they stay that way, especially with the Fed meeting next week on the 31st. It could be an ugly finish to July. We could have a strong finish to July. We'll get that out of the way here soon. So let's move on with the charts. And like I said, what we're seeing. So possibly a bounce going into the weekend, maybe closing out some of the short positions, people locking whatever profits they made throughout shorting the market throughout this week. And then, well, next week is a whole new ball game with lots of pressure put on it, especially with the Fed coming out and talking with like a 100% chance of the Fed doing their first rate cut, not in July, although right now it's not necessarily a rare expectation for that to happen. It's just very unlikely at this point in time. So if they do, it is unexpected. It's highly unexpected, but it's not completely improbable. There's more than a 0% chance of that. But like I said, technicals, let's stick with them. We'll get to that other commentary in another video. So if we zoom out from here and go out to the weekly chart, what does that look like? We are still, as per the RSI, let me expand this for you so that you can see it. We are still in bullish territory as per the RSI for the momentum on the S&P. And as a matter of fact, we're even still up above the 200 week. We're up above the 50 weeks on this one. And, you know, yeah, we lost the 50 day, but we're still above the 200 day. So we're still currently in bullish territory, although experiencing some pain, a little bit of correction that's probably quite a bit overdue. We've been talking about it for a while. I've been cautiously bullish since January, and we've made it all the way to July before really seeing something that's a fair amount of pain, we'll say. So the big thing here, though, isn't the weekly chart. It's the monthly chart. So let's go to the monthly chart, and I'll show that to you and give you some of those details that are really giving me heart palpitations on this. Check out, let me actually hide some of the technicals on here just so you can really focus on the candles. Look at that high wick that we're getting. That is a lot of selling pressure, and also red bottom on this one. Up here is the open for the month at July the 1st. And now here's currently where we find ourselves with just 6 days left in July and not that many trading days. I think we have 4 trading days. So Friday, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, that's it. To really get this thing to turn around, at most, we're probably going to see indecision here where we end up with a narrow body. If it does keep on pulling down on us, we could see ourselves dropping a few more percent from where it's at right now. And that high wick on a monthly basis can really set us up for some further red days to come along. You'll notice back here, if we go back to November of 21, that we actually had in December, that was a strong month anyway. And then January happened, and then February and March was okay. April down, kind of narrow body indecision, down some more. We know 2022 was absolutely messy. I don't think that we're in a 2022 environment. I don't think we have the evidence for that right now, but it is a time to be cautious for what sets us up for the coming months ahead, especially if August is a messy month for us. We start selling down in August as well. That can set us up for an even further sell because that will confirm this selling pressure that we're getting. Now, when we talk about what we see here on the RSI, monthly basis, we're above the moving average for the RSI. That's bullish. We're still up above 50. That is also bullish. So remember, this is all potential at this point in time. It's not a guarantee, and it's certainly not a time to panic, but it is a time to sort of be prepared for the environment that we could be in. So for me, I have long positions out there, and I want to be able to protect those long positions. So I want to be interested at times when hedging is necessary, and I do have some actually very high risk hedges going into tomorrow. Should the market drop anyway, I did put in a low amount of capital to balance the amount of risk that I could experience, because it could literally between like complete loss versus like 2x, 3x, 4x. We're going to have to see what happens to come our way from that hedging that I have. So that's SPY. Moving over to QQQ. So check this out. What we have on the daily chart, the 50s are all the way up here. Let me get rid of these for a moment. The 50s are all the way up here. Got the full candle close yesterday. Today, got the bounce that we were expecting, but then sold off incredibly. But look where we're finding that support over here. Yes, we could bounce. That would actually set up the case that tomorrow, if the shorts close their positions, causes some buying pressure to come in, we could actually have a decent day tomorrow in the markets. Right now, the technicals are suggest we're actually on the Qs, we're getting close to oversold. And so that's also something that we want to be aware of and we want to be watchful of on a daily basis. Like I said, tomorrow's Friday, watch for short closing, watch for that buying pressure to come in as the shorts cover before the weekend comes along. And then more pain could potentially come the next week, especially if we're worried about that Fed meeting coming up. And then we also have that unknown in between as I record this video and tomorrow at 8:30 is personal income and outlays, which includes we have consumer spending. We also have income numbers that come along with that. And then, of course, the inflation number, the PCE itself. So we want to be watchful for those. So let's go out to the monthly chart for QQQ. What does that look like? Well, that's the weeks. Now, mind you, this actually shows a little bit of what I was talking about for what we saw with SPY for the monthly chart. So monthly chart for SPY was a high wick up here. Now, mind you, sort of a narrow body, but you'll notice last week we actually got a bit of a confirmation from this one, which is indecision, confirmation, now a further drop. We're sitting on top the 20-week moving average, which actually still confirms my case for a bounce tomorrow. We'll happen to see. And then what about the RSI? Well, the RSI on a weekly basis is still up above 50, so the long-term trend is still bullish, but it is declining. So crossing down below 50 on the weekly RSI is something that could be a pretty good sell for us. Now, mind you, you can see the 50-week moving averages that we have down here in the low 400s. So that'd be a lot of pain, just so you know. It looks like a little bit of space, but that's about another 10% drop in order to get there. That would be no laughing matter. That would come with a substantial amount of pain. Like I said, we want to be ready for what comes our way. Let's look at the monthly chart, see what that looks like. On a monthly basis, still bullish, still above the moving average that we have here on the RSI. So that's good momentum that we have. And you'll notice even the volumes are starting to taper off as we have lower conviction rises here. And so that could be something that shows us that there's less conviction in that climb that you had in the price for QQQ as we track the Nasdaq 100. Once again, high wick, we are nearly engulfing what's here. Let me put that up there so you can see, and I got to zoom out for you. There we go. High wick, nearly engulfing, I say. Bearish divergence, which we also have back here on the SPY. If I put these technicals out, you can see that August is likely critical. High top wick so far because July isn't over, and these are monthly candles. Bearish divergence on the monthly chart for SPY as well. So for the Qs, And we got that drop now still above the 5-month moving average that we have here. Once we start dangling off of those on a monthly basis, that can really signal a much further fall. We're going to be on the lookout for it. Now, mind you, as messy as 2022 was, look at the RSI on the monthly chart. This is all it took for a whole lot of pain to come our way. The market still overall on longer time horizons is still a very bullish thing. So if we come down and touch 50 on the RSI on a monthly chart, that could actually be a really good signal for us that it could be time. And if we hit those 50 period moving averages, or even the 20 month that we have here, although it looks like the 13 month is actually where we found support last time, these could be all opportunities for significant bounces to come our way. So when I said holy crap technicals, like I really mean it this time. We need to be watchful, because if we have a lot of uncertainty leading up to the election that's coming up, so we essentially have August, September, October, those 3 months. And out of the quarter, we only have August and September. And we're starting to see some of that correcting coming in, especially where big tech is concerned. And that's why I'll get to that in just a moment. But look at that candle that we have. If that completely engulfs this previous candle, that could be that further selling, especially if we break down below that 5 EMA support, which is a 5-month moving average that we have. So IWM, how's that one different? Well, look at the monthly chart for IWM, and I'll actually drill down on this one to show you some more recent price action as well. So this one I'll do a little bit backwards. Our volume is actually looking pretty good right now on a monthly basis, just right at about the average over the last 20 months for volume for IWM, which tracks the Russell 2000 stocks, and we're looking for that push up in that volume. The candle that we have is bullish and engulfing, and then you'll notice I say but with 3 dots after it, given that ellipsis, but we're also near strong trend line resistance. Look at all the selling that we got back in 2021 and into 2022 before that pressure was finally alleviated as it sold off, and the bears happened to win out that time. I don't know that we're in the environment to take on the all-time high that we have here. I don't know that we can break through that significant resistance that we had back in 2021. I think we're going to see it rearing its ugly head. You can see we already had a little bit of trouble with it. But as for right now, it's hanging in there. I will say with these 2 yellow trend lines that I have at the bottom, top one, strong trend line resistance, I think it's going to hold for us near term. Now, long term, I think we retrace back down. We have this very significant trend line coming along this way, and that's not potential. That is trend line support. So let me take away the word potential here. We have a lot of touches on that. It's actually probably pretty strong trend line support. And there we go. Now it's green for us because we have a touch back here during the pandemic, and then we rode along it ever since then. And you notice the only candles that we have below it, got a red one down below it, touched down here where we have a lot of significant support from a historical support, and then we got an engulfing candle to follow that back in November of 2023, and we'll look at the history that it led to. So where's the RSI putting us? Well, on a monthly basis for what we have for IWM versus what we had for Qs and the SPY is that we actually have rising momentum happening right now. So we're over 50 and still rising. The momentum has just peaked over what it was back in March of this year. And so as we watch that momentum increase, we still have room to the upside over the longer term trend. Well, what does that look like if we go down to a weekly basis? So on a weekly basis, RSI is not quite overbought yet, and it's still rising. It's above the previous highs that we had as we made it all the way through here. And you'll notice just how strong of support the red and blue lines and yellow lines are on here. That's a convergence of the 200, which is this thin yellow line. Thick red line is the 50 EMA. Thin blue line is the 50 SMA that we're looking at. And we couldn't break through those on a weekly basis. As a matter of fact, right here is 200. Very strong support, in my opinion. If we break down to that, significant bounce probably coming our way. Let's just pretend for a moment. I don't think this is the case, but I would just want to talk about it because it's on the chart here in front of us. If we were to sell down, as far as you see down here to 162, look at even during the yuckiest, messiest times, going back to 2022 in June, 2022 in October, 2023 in October, the Russell 2000s got absolutely annihilated. If we end up back in that range, that to me is like the most significant, clearest buy signal that we have. Now, I can't speak for you. I can't tell you what to buy or sell. These are my thoughts on it. And what I would do, like to me, that's like all-in options type play along with some shares to boot for the Russell 2000 stocks. I think the initial line that we look at is that 200, and we have to examine the rest of the market environment and economic environment, geopolitical environment surrounding us. before we see what that looks like. The Fed rate cuts, I think, just the news of it, I think is what's moving us up right now, but they'll start happening. Things might be a little bit gross. We're going to have to wait and see if that's true or not. And then after that gross time, maybe we're down around 200, maybe we're a little bit down near these moving averages. But that, I think, sets us up for the next run for the Russell 2000 stocks. And I think that secondary run is the thing that sets us up to the all-time high and actually pushes us up above 244.46. So be on the lookout for that, and we'll see if those technicals play out. All right, this is turning into a long video, so let me run through these next few of them quickly. BTC, how's that looking on a daily basis? We actually came down. We smacked onto the 50-day. That means that this should be green for support, so let's flip that over. We came down, tagged it, and retraced. Now we're flirting with 65,000 again. We need to get over that 65,000 in order to have room to the upside on this one. So right now we have that psychological resistance, if you will. Actually, as I speak right now, it's at 64.9. Oh, there it is, 65,000. We need to hold that, though. That long bottom wick is buying pressure. The moving averages that we have here, great. Up above the yellow 13, also great. Down below the green 5, not great for us. If we clear that, we start riding along the top of the moving averages. That'll be even better for us. That's what we want to see. So Bitcoin, looking in decent shape so far. We'll see what we get coming up with the overall indices. I think the Qs and SPY are weighing down on what we're seeing with some of the Bitcoin's price action, along with selling the news with the news of the Ethereum ETFs that just got approval this week. So once that's all done, once we kind of get that out of the way, once the dust settles, I think that next run in crypto is coming, and it could actually be Ethereum-led with some Bitcoin support going into it. So Crypto Will, by the chance, Fresh Prince of Crypto. If you haven't checked him out, you should, because he'll cover all sorts of crypto, all sorts of Bitcoin, Ethereum, altcoins, you name it. That's his game, and for me, I just hit some of the big ones with some of the technicals. So end phase, how did we look today? We actually made it up over 120. Got rejected again, getting a high wick here, still up above the 50 and the 200-day moving averages. We do have a bit of flat momentum today. We do want to see it keep on rising. We got to break that 120 in order to get it. And like I said, tomorrow, if shorts start to cover and the market's allowed to recover a little bit, then we could push up over that 120. They have room up to 130. After that's room up to 138. If we get rejected, we could head back down to the moving averages. If those fail, we're back down towards 95. We need to be watchful for that for end phase. NVIDIA, this one was awesome. Let me tell you about this one real quick. So you can see the candle that we have. This is a highly indecisive candle, by the way. So important. Let me hide all that stuff. Look at that high top wick, low bottom wick. This one, like when you have that narrow body like that and those big wicks on it, that's a lot of indecision for what's happening with NVIDIA's stock price. So that, and I'll cover this in more detail in my next video. I'll do it tomorrow. I'll give a fresh update on it. But this is something that says, I don't know which way we're going to go. We'll watch and see. Well, I was able to jump into this one. A dollar cost average just above 106. And then I snagged on an option on 106. And look at this run that we took. Let's go down to the minute chart so that you can see. Because like I said, I got into this one with a call option right around the bottom of this 106. I rode it up all the way until we went all the way into just about 116. I cashed out on that on a very short expiration option. I did it for August the 2nd. Took 97% profit on that one. So I nearly doubled my money, and it took 43 minutes to do it. And I was able to do that as soon as I saw the prices happen. I knew exactly what to expect, and that happened because of the technicals that I did, that I shared over my Patreon, through the Discord. I shared at the Discord. The Patreon is how you access the Discord. These are the technicals that I've been sharing. So let me put these up here for you so you can see it. And I know it looks messy, but this has been built up over time. I'm going to be due very soon in order to correct this. But you can see this gap we had to fill. We filled it. What happened? It fell. I said about support here. If we break down below that, we have free fall. That's what happened. We free fell all the way down to about 106, which again is what I said, support area. When I saw that we tagged 106, I was like, this is a very strong support area. We're likely going to bounce pretty well from here. Jumped in with some options, took some dollar cost averaging in tandem with that, and it worked out very well for me. Got in at a nice price. Now, if we break down below that, we have free fall for that all the way down to 96, just so you know. So if that support didn't hold, that could have been something that would cost me money instead. That's where stops come in and allow you to limit some of your risk, mitigate some of your risk that you're putting in for that capital. So for NVIDIA, what's coming up tomorrow, and this is just a quick take because this video is getting long. this is indecision. We need to see tomorrow for confirmation for the direction. And if I'm right about the shorts covering, that could be something that allows some levity to come back to this. And then what are we looking for? Look for the 50 EMA and SMA, this red and blue line that you see here. We need to retake those to have further room to the upside. It is a bearish sign right now that we have the 5 and the 13, the yellow and the green. Let me turn off VWAP because that's only intraday. The 5 and 13, it's bearish that you see those crossing over the 50. If that 5 crosses the red one, bearish sign. Yellow crosses the red, it's even more bearish. Just so you know, the RSI on this one. Now, mind you, the drop that we got today, well, actually the indecision was on strong volume. So up above average. Same thing for yesterday's drop, was on strong volume, indicating possibly a further drop today, and we definitely got one. Recovered pretty nicely, though, put us in an indecisive spot. RSI down below 50. What about Tesla? So here are the technicals that I have to share on Tesla. And like I said, real quick, I'll put out another video tomorrow, so be on the lookout for it to drop. You can see I put this out in the morning for Tesla. I've been covering this one at my Discord, StockMo's Discord. I also have a channel over there, and also with the Stock Squad. I also am over there in their Discord as well, supplementing some information, trying to help out those communities as well, sharing the knowledge and expertise that I have in this area. So when you look at this, I said up here is resistance, down here support. What happened, we came up, we tagged the bottom of this resistance area, and if you set up a short position, it would have worked out really well for you during that time. If you would have set up a long position off the support that you had down here right around 216, you also could have rode that all the way up to 225, and you would have known about where to get out of this thing. Maybe a little bit short of that resistance, because if you wait until resistance, then sometimes things draw down very quickly and it can really burn you. And if you're somebody who plays around with options or that you trade a lot of options, that would be something that you don't necessarily want to wait too long on taking those profits, especially in the volatile environment that we find ourselves. But take a screenshot of these technicals, because I'm telling you, they are very good. They've been working out very strong. I get a lot of confirmation for that. So if you guys made it this long, like I said, down the description, find that link for the Patreon. Come over and join me and my community members. Join that Discord, see my buys and sells. But for those of you who made it this long, for those of you who are options cowboys out there, the big risk takers, even if you don't want to do options, this last one's for you for making this long. This is a treat for you. CrowdStrike. Oh my gosh, CrowdStrike. I put this at the end on purpose because this is a descending wedge pattern. Quite bearish below support. We fall down through this. The bottom probably falls out on CrowdStrike, even worse than it already did. If we break up above this, however, that can be very bullish if we break to the upside on that, and maybe we have a significant retracement back towards the top. So let's zoom back out of there, and let's see where the top of this thing is and where we're bottoming out right now. So that's a really good top, I would say. We bottomed out down right around 250. Probably pretty strong support for us right down there, and we actually took a good bounce off of that. The retracement on something like this, you have room up to 284. After that, 305 and then 322. That's if you get that strong recovery. And honestly, the technicals from top to bottom of this descending wedge pattern, if we got a strong enough bounce, it could send us back up there. 322, I think, would be really, like, oh my gosh, that'd be difficult. But most likely, what we've seen happen to CrowdStrike is probably a little bit overdone for the time being. We're probably going to see some retracement back up. Watch 284, watch 385. And like I said, this is for the cowboys. This is for people who really, really enjoy risk, because probably tomorrow or next week is when we're going to see this thing break this formation and probably take its next really big move. So guys, I'm going to let you go with that. If you like what I had to say, if you like the technicals that I have and you want to see more of it shared, that link is down in the description for the Patreon. And if you want to learn to do technical analysis trading like I do, there's also a link for that down in the description as well. Thank you very much for watching. I really do appreciate it. I am Dr. Stock, Doctor of Education. Remember, my friends, that learning is earning, and we'll see you in the next video.